And welcome to episode 41 of Swiss Army Sports. Today is February 5th, not 4th, in the Big 26. I'm your host, Will Spain, former longstopper for the Troy Trojans, Osby Governors, and partially Houston Cougars, joined by my side, former offensive lineman for the Head Charles Warriors, current man of electricity, Luke Wallman, and joined from us from his aunt's office, boots on ground in Troy, Alabama, former kicker for the Houston Christian Huskies and Troy Trojans, current nephew of Troy's men's basketball coach after a great win against Georgia State last night. Chase Cross, welcome. It is Super Bowl episode, guys. But we have other things to talk about as well. We have our Super Bowl picks and preview along with our best bets for the Super Bowl. Little props for your taste. Some high odds, some crazy values. We got our college basketball picks of the week, of course, trying to get back against old Chaser and Big Mike. And they've got quite the lead. Me and Luke need to start chipping away. Mid-major games to watch. NBA trade deadline. Some talks about the bigger trades that happen in the NBA. NHL heading into the Olympic break. We'll take a look at the standings, talk a little stick and puck as we get I say nice for the players. Horrible if you're a hockey fan. 20-day NHL break, although I'll be watching every winter Olympic hockey game there is. Waste Management Phoenix Open. It is the best non-major that should be a major. That is just a drunk party golf tournament. We've already had a hole-in-one on 16. The place erupted. Beer was flying everywhere. Yes, we did. We have our picks and preview for the Waste Management. EPL picks and preview for Match Week 25. Winter Olympic medal picks and overall preview. So we'll be picking the total amount of medals and talking just Winter Olympics, our favorite sports, etc. Premier League darts night one recap. Absolutely electric in Newcastle for the Premier League darts night one tonight. New NASCAR. The clash last night was absolutely electric. It was a very calm first 100 laps. Then rain struck and all hell broke loose in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And then who's hot and who's not as we end every weekday episode. Let's get right into it. It is Super Bowl 60, gentlemen, 60. There have been 60 Super Bowls. Who is going to win it? And I believe we are going to have a new overall champion winner with their 7th Super Bowl. And I'm the only one that's rocking with them. I just realized the New England Patriots, led by Del Pettis, are going to win Super Bowl 60 against the Seattle Seahawks. I have a final score prediction of 24-21. I am gay for May. We are all in on the Pats. Mike Vrabel is going to take a team that went from 4-13 to a Super Bowl championship. And this is all because Sam Darnold still has ghosts. He is haunted by them every night. He's been getting very little sleep. No Jets pick as a quarterback will win the Super Bowl since Joe Namath, and it's not happening this year. Overall, I'm really just picking the Patriots because I want them to win. But number two, he can't do it. Sam Darnold can't win a Super Bowl. Sure, no, there's no way. There's just no way in my mind I can fathom Sam Darnold winning a Super Bowl. However, I do think the Seahawks are better on defense and on offense. I will mention that. However, it is the Super Bowl. All that shit goes out the window, and the Patriots are getting the job done. Take Ramondre Stevenson first anytime touchdown. I think he is going to have to tote the rock for the Pats to win this game. I think Drake May's going to be, relatively mistake-free. And I think this defense is going to have to get some pressure on old Darney and keep Kenneth Walker at bay, which they haven't been running the ball well at all in the playoffs. So I don't think that'll be too much of an issue. Give me the Pats, 24-21. All right, the rest of y'all say screw me. The producer took the Seahawks. He didn't put a score, so I put one for him, 34-28. The exact same score, I'm pretty sure, of the Super Bowl. No, it was 28-24. Last time they played, and they didn't get it. But Luke, why do you like Seattle and then Chase?
I think defense is just by and far better than this Pats defense. And we've seen Drake May. Now, granted, elements haven't been the greatest, but still, he's turning the ball over a bunch this postseason. And I think this is the best defense they're going to play all year, obviously. And
better than the Broncos?
I do think it's I think it's better than the Broncos. I think it's better than the Texans.
But my one argument is
the
Pats have played some really good defenses.
Because even the Chargers have a really good defense. But I think they're going to get after Drake May. Drake May's going to just turn it over once, maybe twice. And I think Darnold's going to do enough. You have JSN on the outside. Like, literally just feed him. And you've got Cooper Kupp, who's a Super Bowl MVP in his prior years. But I don't think it's comfortable, but I do think they cover the 4.5.
Obviously, I saw that by the spread. And just if you can tell if you're on YouTube while looking at the scores, we think it's going to be an exciting game, which is kind of what we're all rooting for anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Chase, why does Seattle get it done in 24-21? Same as me. I expect like a defensive nail-biter comes out of the end. What do you think?
The Patriots, the entire playoffs, have played some pretty dirty, nasty games. I don't expect this game to be any different. I think, this is obviously, I don't want to say that this Seahawks defense is better than either the Texans defense or the Broncos defense, because I think those two defenses were 1A and 1B in the NFL. But this Seahawks defense is up there as well. Super athletic. That secondary is going to give Drake May troubles, but we also have seen teams like even the Rams line them up last week, and obviously they got the win, but we saw the Rams line them up. So I don't necessarily think that this is as good of a defense as they've seen the last 2 weeks. However, I think the Seahawks offense is a lot better than both the Broncos offense and the Texans offense. So I think that kind of levels things out, levels the playing field. I expect this to be a low scoring kind of nail biter type game. As Super Bowls mainly are. I mean, it's going to be nervy. There's going to be punts. I don't expect a blowout. Both these teams are very similar. Vrabel's going to have the Patriots ready to go. It's going to be a really interesting contest that comes down to the end, and I think the Seahawks end up making a couple more plays, and Sam Darnold does have that little edge of experience on Drake May, and I do think that, like, Jason, just the receiving core for the Seahawks in general are the X factor in this game, because I don't see it really any other difference on any of these teams except the difference in offensive weapons that the Seahawks have compared to, the Patriots. Obviously, Drake May's played a lot better this year, but not necessarily in the playoffs. And I think Sam Darnold is on this revenge arc, and it would be really cool to see him get a ring. But I could see it going either way. I was toying back and forth with this pick. I think this is a super close Super Bowl. It won't be like last year with the Eagles absolutely blowing out the Chiefs. I think this one's going to be really close, really back and forth between two teams that, maybe don't necessarily deserve to be here. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Fair enough. As we move into our best bets segment for the Super Bowl, obviously the Super Bowl brings quite a variety of gambling options for your pleasure. I'm going to start it off with Patriots money line. I think they're going to win. I'm picking them to win. Plus 190 is a hell of a value for a Super Bowl underdog. So I think there's a ton of value in laying with the Patriots money line at plus 190. I think if they, 24-21, they cover the spread. However, it's a Super Bowl, man. We're not rooting for a spread cover. I'm waiting for the money line. So plus 190 is what I like. This is a fun one. We get scoregamis kind of more often than we used to. With all the funky kickoffs going for 2, all the analytics. At plus 2,500, this is a thing I couldn't ignore on the DraftKings site. Yes, for scoregami was plus 2,500. Why not sprinkle it? I love it. It's a good best bet. And then a non-QB touchdown pass, which honestly Luke pointed this out. I'll let him explain why. But even though, other than his reason, this is something we see a lot in the Super Bowl. You pull out all the, bag of tricks that you possibly can.
Yeah.
Love this for a non-QB touchdown pass, especially at plus 1,400. Parlay that with a scoregami, and you're making generational family wealth. Luke, what are your best bets?
Oh, yeah, the non-QB touchdown pass. Cooper Kupp on his Instagram story today posted a picture of him throwing a football at practice. Now, he has attempted a pass this year, and he threw an interception. So I think he's going to get it back, and he's going to throw a touchdown to somebody in the Super Bowl. And then I got Seattle covering the 4.5. I think they can cover the 4.5. I think they're winning by 6 or 7, depending on how points fall. But I've got them to cover. And then another little fun one. I'm going to take the points in the Super Bowl plus the gold medals from the USA to be over 62 at plus 135.
I love that. Throwing a little Olympics into there with the Super Bowl. Chase, talk to me about your best bets. A little more tame on your end.
Yeah.
Well,
I also love the second bet before you even talk. I thought about it.
Well, so for the first one, obviously I have the Patriots covering the spread. I think this game's going to be a lot closer than 4.5 points. I can see the Patriots outright winning this game. Obviously I went with the Seahawks, but I do think this game's going to be really close. It's going to be decided by a field goal or less. And then under 22.5 first half points, we've seen a lot of Super Bowls be very slow starting. Both these teams have not been here before. There is not a lot of players. I don't think there's any from their previous Super Bowl runs on either roster, maybe on the Patriots, but it's been a while since both of these teams were relevant. So I do think that it is going to be they're both going to be very slow starting in this game on Sunday. So I think the under 22.5 first half points is more than generous. I mean, we could see this game going in 10-10.5, 7-10, like both the previous two games for the Texans. I mean, not the Texans, Patriots, and the Patriots Broncos games both went into halftime under this. So I could easily see this happening.
And the Chargers went under this too.
Yeah, Chargers were way under. So all three of the Patriots playoff games were way under. So I think this one is a pretty easy cash and it's good value for it. And then I think Drake May is going to have to play well, and they're going to put the ball in his hands to make some plays. That I think the Seahawks D line is very sneakily underrated, especially their D tackles. So I think they'll be able to stop the run pretty well. So if the Patriots are going to score some points and have success in this game, it's going to be with Drake May's arm and his legs. So I do imagine that they would throw the ball a lot, and I do think he will have 20+ completions.
All right. As we move now on past the Super Bowl to our college basketball picks of the week, we are kicking it off in the Big East. We have a big matchup. UConn on the road in the Big Apple at Madison Square Garden, facing the Red Hot Johnnies of St. John's. We are all on UConn, me, Luke, and the producer, except Chaser there at the bottom there. He thinks the home team gets it done. I'll kick it off. I think UConn is clear and cut the best team in the Big East, 22-1, 12-0 in the Big East. They're led by the incredible guard Solo Ball. I just think UConn is way too much for the St. John's team that has been playing better, especially with Ejiofor and Zuby. There we go. We'll just go with Zuby. Especially with Zuby, kind of picking up his production on the offensive end for St. John's. Always been a solid defensive team, but I just don't think they're good enough to take down UConn, even though they'll be at home on a Friday night on Fox. Luke, why do you also like the Huskies?
I mean, I think they're the best team in the Big East. This does scare me, though. I will say I kind of flirted with this because, UConn has had games where they have they played Xavier, beat them 92-60. They also only beat DePaul by 12. They also only beat Georgetown by 2. So, the competition sometimes, they'll play to it or they'll either blow them out of the water. So, it does really worry me. I just think UConn's the better team. I think Hurley is going to have them kind of fired up. And even though MSG will be rocking, I think they're going to be able to get it done.
Chase, you're going against us. You're riding with the Red Storm. Why do you like St. John's?
Well, for a multitude of reasons. One, the Giants have played a lot better basketball over the last couple of weeks. Patino got this team right. They started off the year pretty slow, uncharacteristic of what they were supposed to do throughout the season. Two, UConn has not lost in a while. I think this UConn team is very good, very talented, but they've had some close calls obviously not over the last 2 previous weeks, but prior to that, they had a couple close calls. They've been playing really good basketball in their own right, but this is just kind of a field pick. It's at Madison Square Garden. I think the crowd's going to play a major factor in this. This is going to be an elite environment, and just there's something about big game Rick Pitino that just gets me going. So, I was very back and forth on this pick. This is going to be an elite Friday night matchup, but I think St. John's gets it done. It's going to be very close, but I think they get it done at home.
Excuse me, sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off at the end. Sticking with Friday matchups, we have a big one in the Missouri Valley Conference. Bradley, who is 16 of 8, 9-4 in the Missouri Valley, heading to Northern Iowa, the Panthers, 14-9, 6-6. Luke is the only one that went against me, Chase, and the producer. We are all in Northern Iowa. Luke, you're on Bradley. I'm going to start it off. It really is going to come down to I saw they lost by 6 at Bradley. It was a pretty tightly contested game at the half. They were down 3, got outscored by 3 in the second half. That's fine. You're on the road. It was a tough environment for the Braves, and it's tough to go on the road in the Missouri Valley Conference, let alone any mid-major conference. These are really good home atmospheres. Look for Trey Campbell to have a big game. He needs at least 15+ for Northern Iowa to get this one done, and I think he will, and I like the Panthers to get it done, especially using the interior and out-rebounding the Braves. Chaser, why do you like the Panthers?
The same reason as you for the most part. I think that Northern Iowa, despite their record, is a very talented team. Ken Palm's got ranked in the top 100. And the other thing, too, is, like you said, on the road against Bradley, only lost to them by 6. Usually the return leg when it's at home, you see a similar result just in reverse fashion. So I think Northern Iowa's gonna get it done at home against Bradley, but I do think this one's gonna be tightly contested like the first matchup was. But I think Northern Iowa will pull away late.
Luke, you're going with the Braves. How come?
Yeah, I think Bradley. If you looked at them in the past, they have been just like humbled in this conference by Drake every year. And I said this at the beginning of the season, and I'm riding with Bradley. I think Brian Wardell is a great coach, and I think they're going to get them right because they've kind of got to win this game to stay in for the top two potential seeds. I mean, definitely to stay at the two. The one's kind of a long shot because Belmont is 11-2 to their 9-4. But I just think this is a wacky Missouri Valley Conference game, and Bradley's able to come out on top. So just like kind of a gut play. So.
Fair enough. We are now moving to the MAAC on Saturday at 1 o'clock Central Time. The Siena Saints are heading to St. Peter's to play the Peacocks. We are on all Siena, me, the producer, and Chase. Again, Luke said mega fade. He's going with the Cox. Dude, Siena's won 6 games in a row in this conference. It's a solid mid-major conference in the MAAC. They have a guy, Gavin Doty, who averages 16.6, 6.8 rebounds. He shoots the ball 47.2%. I just think he's going to be able to take over against, I think, a St. Peter's team that, yeah, they've looked solid, but they dropped one on the road against Ryder and Merrimack. I just think Siena, honestly, is the better basketball team. I think they're the clear-cut best team in the MAAC. I think they give Merrimack a run for their money. I think it's dude against dude. I think Doty's a better dude for Siena. Chase, you're riding with me with the Saints here. Why do you like Siena?
The exact same reason. When you have a dude that's averaging nearly 50% from the field, above 16 points per game, especially at a mid-major, that guy's a dude. He most likely can make the jump to a Power 5 school, so you've got a dude on your hands. And when you have a dude like that, you're going to win a lot of basketball games, especially at the mid-major level. Considering they've won 6 in a row, I am a little bit bullish to take Siena here, but the fact that they've been dominant. So there's no reason, they haven't given me any reason to suggest that they would drop this one to St. Peter's, especially with the form St. Peter's has been on over the last couple of weeks. Obviously being 3-2 in their last 5, that isn't bad. But still, I think Siena gets it done here, and they get it done pretty big.
Luke, St. Peter's, why?
Yeah, St. Peter's hadn't lost at home all this year, and I think that kind of continues. I think they're able to just eke out a win because, of course, whenever they go on the road, they seem to get against a good team, they seem to just get pummeled.
Yeah, they do.
So I'm kind of rolling with this home St. Peter's team. I'm also trying not to sweep everything because I got to get more legs up on Chase and Michael. So
I need to get points up on you, so thank you.
Yeah, no, that's kind of another reasoning for it. So yeah, I'm going with St. Peter's.
Well, let's talk some SEC ball. It's the Iron Bowl in Auburn. Alabama heads to Auburn to play the Tigers. The Crimson Tide are 15-7, 5-4 in the SEC. The Auburn Tigers are 14-8, 5-4 in the SEC. Alabama 3-2 in their last 5. Wins over A&M, Missouri, and Oklahoma. Lost to Tennessee and Florida. Auburn 4-1 in their last 5. Lost to Tennessee on the road, but beat Texas, Florida on the road, Ole Miss, and South Carolina. I think this series is going to be a split. It's a huge rivalry game. These schools absolutely despise each other. This is going to be an absolutely unbelievable environment in Neville Arena in Auburn. I think Auburn is honestly just as good as Alabama, and we haven't mentioned this. We're not big on Alabama. I'm not big on Auburn, but Alabama is live and die by the 3. It's going to be a really tough environment to do that. It's going to be loud. It's going to be raucous. There's going to be a lot of, pent-up energy for this game. I think Auburn kind of comes out firing, jumps on a lead. Alabama's going to try to make that up with a 3 ball. Don't think it falls. Give me the Tigers at home against the Crimson Tide. Luke, you're riding with me here with Auburn.
Yeah, and this win was – I'm not going to say that. But, yes, I am riding with Auburn because that home court is unbelievable. I think it's the best, if not second best, to Arkansas in the SEC. And, I don't think Bama's very good. And I watched them against A&M. They really should have lost that A&M game. They kind of got some calls down the stretch. I was a little angry, so I bet on them. But they really should have lost to A&M. And what really just ticked me off is – they threw it to the corner for 5 straight possessions. They missed 5 straight threes where they could have got to the corner because obviously A&M's pressing, drove to the goal and got a layup, but they kept settling for threes. They are going to die by the 3 in this game because the crowd is just going to be way too much. Give me Auburn.
Chaser, you're with the producer. You're taking the Crimson Tide. Why did Bama get it done on the road?
Well, I've been back and forth on this pick. Honestly, I wanted to pick Auburn because it is at home. So this was the other one this week that I switched it twice. Auburn has a great home court advantage here, but I do think this Alabama team is still talented. We've seen them beat some of the best teams in the country. Obviously, they've lost some games they shouldn't have lost, and that's where you have them sitting at 15-7. But they are just inherently a lot more talented than Auburn. I really like Nate Oates. I think Nate Oates is a top coach in the country, regardless of what people say about him. I do think he's a top coach. They're going to be just fine. I mean, if LeBaron Feiline continues to play at the level he's playing, I do think they will end up beating Auburn here. But I do think this game could end up being very close. And like you said, Alabama, it could be a game where Alabama wins by the 3. It could be a game where Alabama dies by the 3. But, that's the beauty of college basketball. If Alabama can get a couple stops and hit a couple threes, I think they'll win this one. So I'm going with Alabama here.
Well, we're heading to the Sun Belt in another game in Alabama on Saturday. The Akron Zips head down to Troy, Alabama, and play the Troy Trojans for the MAC Sun Belt Conference Challenge, the second round of this challenge. Troy got the best of Kent State in the first round of this challenge. We're all on the mighty Trojans of Troy against Akron, which is very perilous for me because I am very nervous about this game. Akron's a damn good team, 5-2 on the road, 19-4 overall, 16-8 for the Trojans, 7-3 at home. I'm really taking Troy for 2 reasons. 3. 1, I'm a Troy alum. Wasn't going to pick them against them. 2, Troy looked solid against a decent Georgia State team who was decent in the Sun Belt on the road, 74-63. And 3, last time out, Akron was on the road at Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan, not a very good MAC team, only won by 2. I think this is a really tough travel game in season, in like conference play. You're not used to traveling very far in the MAC. It's one of those, centrally located conferences, kind of like the Sun Belt is, but in the Sun Belt, you do have to go out to Virginia, etc. You do have to travel a little bit. This is a tough travel for Akron, going all the way down to Lower Alabama to get their ass handed to them by the Trojans. Give me Troy by 6+. Luke, why do you like Troy?
I think this game also makes me very nervous. One, I was not, if you follow the picks on this podcast, outside of when Troy plays Memphis, I always pick Troy. So I'm picking Troy here no matter what. 2, this is, like you said, a very tough travel game. Akron's got to go down to Troy, Alabama, which is very far. I also bet on Akron last game. Was pretty heated because it was the only leg that didn't hit. So I am not going to take Akron in this game. Give me Troy.
Chaser, you're the one closest to the program. I think there's been a reset in the program after those tough couple of games. Why did the Trojans get it done against the mighty Zips of Akron?
Well, obviously, Akron is a tremendous opponent, so I'm not discrediting anything that they've done this season. They're 52 in KenPom right now, ahead of Miami, Ohio, who is undefeated in their conference. So that should tell you a lot about how good this Zips team is. They are the number 1 scoring offense, passing offense in the country. Incredible ball movement. However, like you said, the travel is going to kill them. I mean, that is a tough trip in season. It is always in this MAC Sun Belt Challenge. Usually whoever is playing at home gets the win. That's just how it's been all throughout history. That's just been what it is ever since this MAC Sun Belt Challenge has been going on. So I think the travel is going to hurt them a little bit. And also, Troy's a damn good basketball team too in their own right. I mean, this was a team prior to last week that was 8-1 in the Sun Belt, which is a historically good conference with wins over San Diego State. Should have beat USC. So, I mean, it's a really good basketball team in their own right. Obviously, you look at that blip, but if you look at how they shot it from the field, I mean, they're under 30% from the field, under 20% from 3. This team is too good to do that again. Kind of last night, I mean, I'll be completely honest, I was at the Georgia State game last night. First half started the same kind of way, 30% from the field, 20% from 3, maybe even lower. It may have been like under 15%, but second half, shots started falling, everything started going their way. defense was great all game. So I think, they carried that second half over, got the confidence back. So, I mean, it's a long season. Basketball is a long season. And especially, when you play 30 games, you're going to have a couple of weeks where you aren't playing at your best. So I think, they finally figured it out a little bit, gotten over that, that mid-season hump where you dip in form a little bit and they're going to start rising again. So I think that this is going to be a massive win for Troy. And the other thing I will say is historically this season, Troy has played to their competition, especially when they're playing a good team. We saw it with USC. We saw it with San Diego State, who are both teams that are better than Akron. So, I mean, Troy, like I said, Troy can play with anybody. We'll just have to see what happens Saturday. But, of course, I'm going with the Trojans.
Are you boots on ground for this game?
I am boots on the ground. This was one that talked to my cousin a little bit about, and he was like, "You got to come for Akron. Akron's really good." And I was like, I got to. I mean, I planned this trip when we were going to get Miami, Ohio here, and potentially, Troy could have ended their unbeaten run, which I think Marshall can do that too. But I am boots on the ground for this one. This Akron team.
What's your record
will win
in Troy games this year?
It's a damn good team.
What's your record in Troy games this year?
I am 2-0 right now.
There we go. That's what I wanted you to. I knew you were undefeated. I just wanted you to say it.
Yeah, I'm undefeated. I'm actually, and I think in my last 7 Troy games, I'm 7-0. So
okay, boots on ground because Chase Cross is there. We're going with the Trojans. Let's talk about a big rivalry game in the ACC. Duke is heading to North Carolina. We're all on Duke. Let's keep it short and sweet. North Carolina, I just don't trust them worth their shit. And Carl, Boozer's solid. So I'm going Duke. Luke, why do you like Duke?
Screw North Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, after betting
North Carolina.
North Carolina against Syracuse, I am so anti-North Carolina now that I can't even fathom picking North Carolina.
Yeah, and honestly, I think Duke's going to get up for this game. You got a chance to kind of go, potentially, depending on where they rank Carolina, which I think they're in
the top 15 right now.
Oh, they are? I thought they were like 20. Never mind.
14.
You could start the slide because I think Carolina's got to go play Clemson. They got to play a few teams after this, if I'm not mistaken. So you can start the slide by knocking them off in their building. And I just hate Carolina.
Okay, so why are you around with the Dukies?
I think Duke is one of the top 3 best teams in the country. Obviously you have Arizona up there, but I think the top 3 for me have been Michigan, Duke, and Houston this season. Duke is phenomenal. Cameron Boozer honestly is having a better season than Cooper Flagg had last year, which is crazy to say. I don't know if his game will translate to the NBA as much as Flagg's did, but Boozer is having a phenomenal season. Duke is just built so well. Shire has done a phenomenal job with this program since he's taken over for Coach K. And, I mean, all signs point to Duke. Hubert Davis has not been great at North Carolina. I do like Caleb Wilson, but a Davis-led North Carolina team has historically struggled against Duke. So I think that, Boozer's going to have a big night. The Blue Devils are going to continue dominating, and I think Duke gets it done on the road.
We actually have this flipped on YouTube if you're watching. We do have Florida at Texas A&M in the SEC. We are all on the Gators. I just think, one, this Florida team is so damn good. It's hard for me to bet against them. And two, we have a common opponent. Granted, one was at home, one was on the road. But Florida did give belt to ass to Alabama on the 1st of February. And then on the 4th of February, A&M lost by 3. In both contests, the team scored 100 points. The one with Florida, it wasn't Alabama. The one with A&M, it was. So give me the Gators to keep it rolling and move to 8-2 in the SEC. And I think this is a good A&M team. I think Buckyball does work. I just don't think they're good enough to be in that upper echelon. And we're kind of seeing why they're not ranked as highly in the Ken Palm and the AP poll, etc. come to fruition as they get to the real meat of the SEC schedule. Luke, why do you like the Gators?
Well, shit. I thought this was at Florida. That's kind of what I was basing this off. Oh man, I'm gonna ride with my pick. I think the inside game for Florida is way too much. A&M really doesn't have that inside presence. I'm just gonna throw because I watched Michigan. Michigan, they don't have a big guy down low. They have just like a 6'9", 6'10" dude who's pretty efficient in the post, can kind of rebound. If he gets in foul trouble, A&M can't rebound at all. And I think Florida will dominate the boards. I think we could see some magic, though, from A&M. I think the press is it causes issues. It causes you to take rush shots too, which we saw with Alabama last night. But I think Florida, I think Golden, or what's his face, is going to coast them
Golden.
well. Yeah, it's going to coast them well. They're going to be able to break the press, and they're going to win this game.
Chaser, why do you like the Gators?
Well, look at what Florida's done in the SEC since,
And the producers
since
of
they
the
got out
Gators.
of another conference play. I mean, they've been awesome. They really have. This A&M team really has not played anybody. They struggled with SMU earlier in the year. Granted, they are still a good basketball team, but if you look at who they've beaten, it's the same thing with their football team. I don't know what's going on with these Aggie schedules this year, but they have had a cakewalk schedule, non-conference cakewalk schedule to start SEC play. I think this is where the downturn happens. We just saw them get whooped by Alabama. I can't see them bouncing back and beating Florida. There's a reason that this A&M team has not been ranked in the top 25. Ken Palm doesn't have them super high. Their strength of schedule is extremely weak, and Florida has gone through a gauntlet, and they're looking like a really freaking good basketball team. And I know Reed Arena is going to be rocking. There's no question about it. The 12th man is going to show up, but Florida's going to get it done.
I agree. Major games to watch this week. I will kick it off in the Big West. We have UC Irvine against UC Santa Barbara. Luke, can you tell me what the mascot is for UCSB?
Oh, and I don't know what it is. I can picture the purple
Yep.
logo with the hat.
The Gauchos, brother. It's an elite mascot name. I'm just going to, we talk about road travel in these mid-major games. Not exactly the biggest travel here from Irvine to Santa Barbara. I just think, 8-2 for the Anteaters in the Big West, 8-3 for the Gauchos. However, the Gauchos are red hot, and I think they're just so due to lose that this is the team they're going to do it to. UC Irvine beat Hawaii, beat San Diego, beat Riverside. They only lost by one on the road to Hawaii, who I think is a top-tier Big West team. Give me Irvine to get the win on the road, but you should tune into this game if you're a mid-major lover, mid-major sicko like we are on this podcast. I will be tuned in for the Anteaters and the Gauchos, especially because it's that nice late Big West tip. Luke, going to the Ohio Valley.
Yeah, we got a marquee OVC matchup this weekend on ESPNU. It's on national television. We got the second place, Morehead State. Granted, they're like in a three-way tie versus the number one team in UT Martin, I'd say the Goodwill Balkan block. It's a bunch of foreign guys. They've been running through this OVC schedule, and I think it's going to be a very entertaining matchup because, granted, they're UT Martin. If you
And
look
they
at their
don't blow
kickoff,
teams out.
they don't, and their efficiencies are not very good. Like in KenPom, they don't shoot the ball at a high rate. I haven't really looked at Morehead, but I'm excited. Should be a good game. You got 8-4 versus 10-2. This is definitely going to be a game I'm going to watch to see.
Yeah, national
UT Martin.
television mid-major game,
Yeah,
dude.
UT Martin. This is a team you need to watch because they could be a 14-13 seed potentially that could maybe pull an upset. So we'll have to see. But February 7th, 3 o'clock, ESPNU. Make sure you tune in.
I'm going from
Chaser,
Morehead
I'm
there.
loving yours, dude.
Oh, this is the best mid-major matchup of the week, honestly. Miami, Ohio has been absolutely dominant this season, especially in the MAC, but they haven't had to play an elite Sun Belt team yet. This Marshall Thunder Herd team is really freaking good. They're obviously in the top half of the Sun Belt, or they wouldn't have gotten this Miami, Ohio game, but this is a really good Marshall game. They are going to, it's a tough road game for Miami, Ohio. And I think Marshall could be the first team to beat Miami, Ohio. We've had this game circled. Obviously, people who follow the Sun Belt have had this game circled as, this is potentially the game that Miami, Ohio loses just because of the travel and the fact that the Sun Belt is a really good basketball conference in its own right. So I think just the change of scenery, an uncommon opponent that you don't usually play, especially this late conference, is going to cause issues for this Miami, Ohio team. I think Marshall gets it done, but this is going to be a really exciting matchup, especially if you've kind of liked Miami, Ohio's Cinderella story. So,
Obviously, I'm rooting for Miami to win this, but also as a Sunbelt fan, I'm conflicted here. I want Miami to win, so they're still undefeated because that's freaking awesome because they're Miami, Ohio. And it would be really cool if a Sunbelt team is the team that ended it. So, also, I'm here for a 2-bid MAC. Again, I'm hoping
Yeah.
Miami, Ohio gets it done, and so we can see Akron and Miami, Ohio both upset a team in the first round because I think it could happen. But yeah, absolutely, some banger mid-major matchups this Saturday. Let's talk NBA trade deadline. We're going to give grades live. I didn't want to do a graphic for it because we honestly just had so much material of these trades to put on the slides. I don't think it really fit and looked pretty. Let's start it off on February 3rd. The Pistons get Kevin Huerter, Dario Saric, both from Chicago, and a 2026 first-round protected swap via Minnesota. Chicago receives Mike Conley Jr. and Jaden Ivey, and Minnesota receives the old cash considerations.
Yeah.
I think this trade is a B- for Detroit, C+ for Chicago, and an F for Minnesota because all you got was cash. Luke, what do you think?
Yeah, Minnesota did this intentionally because I think we're trying to go after a Giannis or a big name.
It backfired.
Yeah, it completely backfired on them, so they're getting an F. I honestly think you can get a B for both Detroit. I'll give Detroit a B+ and then a C+ for Chicago because Jaden Ivey and Kevin Huerter this season, it's tit for tat. They both come off the bench. They're both solid guards. Kevin Huerter's obviously the better shooter, and Jaden Ivey's just a more athletic guy. He can finish inside. It's just Minnesota is basically trying to dump for somebody else, and it completely backfired. So, yeah.
Chaser.
I like this trade for Detroit. Kevin Huerter is a really good shooter. I think that's exactly what this Pistons team needs. They'll space the floor a little bit. Dario Saric is kind of a journeyman, and I think he'll add more depth into that rotation. So I do think this benefits the Pistons pretty well. So I'll give it like a B+. Chicago, Jaden Ivey is still a young player that's good, and Mike Conley, I don't know if they're keeping him or waiving him, but
I think they already
I've
waived
seen a
him.
little bit of stuff
They
on
waived
both, but they waived him.
Yeah.
So I mean, for them, getting Jaden Ivey was probably the most important part of this trade, and I think that'll help out Chicago in their kind of rebuilding phase right now, even though they're not quite. They're still a good team, but still rebuilding, still that rebuilding year. But Minnesota they didn't really do too much with that. And then I saw that they were trying to re-sign Mike Conley, which is just crazy. But it definitely backfired on Minnesota, so they paid enough for that.
Hometown. February 3rd, the trade that rocked Memphis. The Grizzlies trade Jaren Jackson Jr. to the Jazz, which is the headline for this. Utah receives JJJ, Jock Landale, John Conchar, and Vince Williams Jr. The Grizzlies receive Walt Clayton Jr., Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, Georges Niang, and 3 future first-round picks. I'm giving this a C- for Utah. And honestly, as a person who's not the biggest Grizzly fan, C+, man. You needed to make a move. Jaren's contract was pretty atrocious, and you got 3 first-round picks out of it. So, and not to mention, let's not act like Walton Clayton Jr. and George Ning, and Kyle Anderson's slow-mo, and he's back home. So I don't, these aren't terrible depth pieces to add to Jaw. You got to keep Jaw because no one wanted him because he sucks. But it wasn't a terrible trade for the Grizzlies, but it does, I'm sure, hurt as a Grizzlies fan to see JJJ go. His face was all over the city. Luke, what are your grades for this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna give Utah a B because if you look at their lineup next year, it's really because they sent Jock Landale somewhere else in a different trade.
They did. It's at the bottom here.
Oh, it is okay. I didn't see that. Sorry, but what's it called? Jaren will fit in that lineup because they have Walker Kessler and Laurie Markkanen, so he's not going to be forced to rebound. Which his role where he was really good at an all-star level is where he could play the roamer and not have to worry about rebounding the basketball and just come over, block shots, go for steals. And he honestly is one of the better post players in the league. I don't know why he doesn't just camp out down there. He'd average at least 20+. But I'm going to give a B for Utah, and I'm going to give a B+ for us just because of the 3 first-rounders.
I just think Utah gave up way too much.
And Taylor Hendricks was a first-round pick last year out of UCF. Walter Clayton, I think, was a fringe first round or first pick.
They're solid players.
So we already waived Niang, which I hate Niang. I absolutely hate that dude. I'm so glad we waived him, but I think it pains me as a Grizzly fan. It really does. It was a shock. It just sucks, man.
Not the player you expect to see traded.
I thought both of them were going to stay home. I knew Ja was staying home, but
they sure as hell try to get rid of him.
I know, but no, I think partially that is motive. I can go on about that. I don't think everything that's coming out about that is 100% true because Pat Riley said, we'll trade for him and I will extend him if he plays good enough for the rest of the year. So I don't think all of that is true about how nobody wanted him. I just think the Grizzlies weren't going to sell dirt cheap.
Yeah.
So,
Chase,
yeah.
what do you think about this trade?
I actually kind of like it for the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies, with their current roster, are not in contention for even the playoffs, so they needed to make a big move here really quick. Obviously not the guy that you would think was going to go, but you do move that big contract off, and you get 3 future first round picks, which those will turn into something good. And you get Walter Clayton Jr., who is a really good player as well. So I like the move for the Grizzlies, to be honest. Utah, I'm not really sure of their direction. They will have a good lineup next year, but I'm not completely sold on this. But 3 first round picks for the Grizzlies for Jaren Jackson Jr., and then you've got the 4 first round picks for getting rid of Desmond Bain. Oh, that's 7 picks. That from just 2 players, that is huge. For 2 players that I wouldn't say are necessarily, I mean, they're borderline
picks,
all-star
I agree.
level, but they're not the elite of the elites. So
No, good for y'all.
I mean, considering what the Mavericks gave up,
it makes no sense. NBA math makes no sense.
Exactly, it makes no sense. But I think that that this works out really well for the Grizzlies. They can start their rebuild if they want to keep Ja, extend him. He could be the centerpiece of a younger generation Grizzlies team. But I think a lot of teams are kind of looking at what the Thunder did, and they're trying to kind of model that with some of their players as well. So to be honest, I'm not mad at this trade for the Grizzlies, and I'm still a little confused on what Utah is doing, because I don't know if necessarily giving up 3 first round picks for Jaren Jackson Jr., especially where they're at right now, that makes a ton of sense.
We got to move it on a little bit here. So let's go. Cleveland receives James Harden. The Clippers get Darius Garland and a future 2nd round pick. I mean, obviously, Cleveland is trying to make a run here, so I'm going to give them an A. I mean, James Harden's a hell of a player. I have to talk about James Harden on Hot and Not for why I think, what I think about James Harden. The Clippers, I mean, Darius Garland's a solid ball player. I mean, this is a Clippers team that they were starting to look really good. And I just don't know what this move does for them exactly. And a 2nd round pick isn't exactly anything to write home about. So I'm going to give them a C-. I'm not a big fan of this. Although, no disrespect to Garland, solid ball player, just not James Harden level. Luke, what'd you think about this trade?
Yeah. I'm going to give, because Harden did speak about this, and he was like, I didn't try and force myself out completely. He wanted to go out and apparently try and help them get younger. That is what he said. I don't know how true that is, but anyways, I'll give it B+ for Cleveland because you got an aging star. His contract's pretty large. And then I'll give C+ for LA just because you got Garland, who's very solid as a younger guy, but you only got a 2nd round pick. So, I mean, it's B+, C+.
I think you could have gotten
James Harden. You're just going from like B tier to C tier essentially in point guard.
Chase, what'd you think?
I think that it's basically just trading off age. I don't think that, obviously Garland is having a down year, but he had a great season last year. So I still think there's a player in there that is really good. But I don't think this makes the Clippers better, and I don't think this makes the Cavs any better. I mean, Harden's personality is a lot to deal with, and you already have Donovan Mitchell there, who's gonna, he needs the ball a lot, as does James Harden. So I don't know how that necessarily will work with 2 guards that are very ball dominant in Cleveland. So we'll have to see. But James Harden, I'm not a big fan of him. I mean, obviously he was fun to watch in Houston, but I just over these last couple of years, his willingness to just cause problems for an organization, I just wouldn't want to bring him in, and I wouldn't want to give away one of my young star players for James Harden. So not really sure how this helps the Cavs. Not really sure how this helps LA, to be honest. I think that both players were better on their previous teams and fit their previous teams a lot better than where they're going. So, I'm going to give both teams a D.
Fair enough. NHL heading into the Olympic break, it's starting to tighten up, boys. There's only 82 games in the season. We've got some teams that have played as many as 58. In the Atlantic Conference are 3, non-wild card teams, the Tampa Bay Lightning, guys. We've talked about them over and over again. This is a red-hot team. 8-1-1 in their last 10, 4-game winning streak. They are sitting at the top of the Atlantic, 4 points clear with 3 games in hand of second place. That's insane. This is the runaway favorite in the Atlantic so far for me to be the 1 seed. Loving what I'm seeing out of the Lightning. The Montreal Canadiens, dude, have
Team
also
1-1 in their last 20. Will
yeah, unbelievable. I mean, this
that's
team
unbelievable.
they can't seem to lose a back to back. I mean, they can't seem to lose. Period. You can get me started about the Lightning, and I don't like Tampa Bay Lightning. I can honestly say I hate the Lightning, but I mean Kucherov. I mean you got Hedman back. I mean Vasilevsky's been playing unbelievable in goal. They're playing unbelievable on the forecheck. They're forcing turnovers in the neutral zone. I mean they're playing Stanley Cup hockey right now, which again. Me being a hockey fan kind of alarms me a little bit. If I'm a Lightning fan, you don't want to be peaking right now. It's kind of the wrong time to be peaking. You need to like kind of start your peak at this time. But I think they are peaking, which makes them dangerous in the first round. I think they'll kind of tail off at the back end of that. But we'll get into that when we start talking, Stanley Cup playoffs. Montreal Canadiens have fought their way and battled their way back to tie for second. They have a game in hand of Detroit, so that gives them second overall. I mean, they're 16-1 the last 10. This young core with Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, Ivan Davidov, Johan Slavkovsky, Jakob Dobesh has been absolutely unbelievable in goal. Very exciting team for Montreal. Chase, what do you think about the Canadiens sitting there in second?
I think they've been playing some really good hockey too. Obviously, the Lightning command a lot of the talking points in the Atlantic Division, but Canadians have been sneaky good over the last couple of weeks, especially with the Red Wings kind of not necessarily slipping up, but not playing overly elite hockey. So I think with a game in hand, Montreal sitting there in second, you got to be really excited if you're a Canadiens fan, especially considering the roster that you have that can kind of get hot at the right time. Because I don't think we've seen this Montreal team peak yet. So
no, we have not.
I think that they're a team
so
to
much
watch out
youth.
for in the playoffs.
So much youth, which means they can go deeper runs in the playoff without much fatigue. Really excited with this Montreal team. And let's not disrespect Detroit at all. I mean, this is a team that I not think very highly of coming into the season. They are 58 games in with 72 points. Heading over to the Metro, the Carolina Hurricanes are 8 points clear of the second place Pittsburgh Penguins, who are also red hot. 2 elite teams in the Metropolitan, and I think will continue to lead that division. The New York Islanders are my big surprise team of the year, really. I didn't expect them to be in the playoff picture this late in the season, but here we are, 67 points through 57 games, 5-5 in their last 10. Not a bad team for the Islanders. Chase, what do you think about the Metro?
Honestly, shocked that the Islanders are here, and then impressed with how Pittsburgh's handled their last month of hockey. They have really played some good hockey over the last month, getting them into the second place spot, because there was a time they weren't even in the wild card conversation. So definitely good to see from the Penguins. Obviously, Carolina's going to win this division, but I think Pittsburgh holds on to that number 2 spot and will continue winning some games here down the stretch.
We have enough games left to where we can incorporate most of the wild card still being wide open. I do think the Rangers are done, especially after dealing with Panarin and all the internal issues they have. And I don't think the Devils are good enough to get any ground, nor are the Philadelphia Flyers. But I think from the Ottawa Senators at 61, with the Florida Panthers at 61, Capitals at 63, Maple Leafs at 63, Jackets at 65, are all chasing the Bruins, who are at 69, and the Sabres at 70. I mean, this is a Sabres team that we saw, lose 10 out of 15 games to start the season, and same thing for the Boston Bruins. So it comes in ebbs and flows. Chase, and now after what I say, the wild card, we've got the Sabres and the Bruins ends right now. Let's say it stays the same right now in the top 3 for each of the Atlantic and the Metropolitan. I think the team that is outside looking in, I think we actually have a complete switch, and I think the Florida Panthers and the Washington Capitals will be our 2 wild card teams. They're too talented, too much veteran, and they're too veteran, and they're goaltenders. Logan Thompson hadn't been playing well as of late. He's playing a little bit better tonight against Nashville, repping the Preds. It's game day, but and then, dude, Sam Bennett starting to play well. They're getting Barkov back. This is a Panthers team that when they get healthy will be very scary, and I think they'll make a push for that second or first wildcard spot. But I do think we're not going to have the same wildcard picture come 82 games in. What do you think?
I completely agree. I think this Olympic break is also going to affect a lot of things too. Obviously taking an extended break from your teams and going to play with your national team is going to shake some things up. We could see teams like, kind of like with the NBA bubble, teams that are kind of had 4 starts to the season really get hot towards the end. I think the Capitals, and like you said, the Capitals and the Panthers are 2 teams that could get red hot. I think the Capitals obviously haven't played great over the last 2 months, but they had a good start to the year. And the Panthers, they're just going to be too talented, especially when Barkov comes back. This is going to be a really good Florida Panthers team. So I agree with you. I wouldn't be surprised too if the Capitals and Panthers honestly push for a non-wild card spot too.
Yeah, I was about to mention that. I do think the Capitals could push for a spot in the Metro. The Atlantic's really jam-packed right now. I mean, it's
Yeah.
tough to get in with 72 points being the bar. I mean, it could happen. Making up 11 points in 24 games isn't unheard of. But again, it would be pretty tough. I just think Buffalo and Boston are both kind of due to falter off towards the end of the season. I don't think they're as strong of teams as their record indicates as of now. Let's talk about the good stuff, though. This West, man, especially with the wild card, is heating up. Central Division, kind of set in stone who's going to be the leaders there. 83 points, through 55 games. The Avalanche, of course, are unbelievable. But then again, we keep looking at that last 10, and the Avalanche, the record keeps not improving. It's 4-5-1 now. So the Minnesota Wild and the Dallas Stars are hot in their tail, 5 points behind for the Wild, but 3 games in hand. And the Dallas Stars are 6 points behind with 2 games in hand. I do think those are going to be the 3 teams that are going to be representing the Central for those seeded spots in the playoffs. And then in the Pacific, no, excuse me, sorry. It's how rude. Chase, what do you think about the Central? Do we think someone could topple the Avalanche for the number 1 seed in the Central Division?
No, I don't. I think Dallas is going to push them, but I think it's going to be Avalanche, Stars, Wild in that order over there in the Central. I like I think this Avalanche team, obviously, kind of like we've compared them to the Thunder in the NBA, how they started, but they're too talented of a team to continue playing how they've been playing over the last couple of weeks. I do think they've regained their early season's form, especially heading into the playoffs. The middle of the season, the NHL season is such a long season. It's a grind. And so I can't foresee this Avalanche team to continue playing the way they're playing, once we get heading toward the Stanley Cup playoffs. So I think this Avalanche team will heat up again. I think the Stars are really talented too. I know you're not a big Stars fan, but if you look at what they've done over the last 10 after having, a really tough run, I think the Stars team is going to be really good. And then the Wild are good as well. But I do think Dallas will probably jump the Wild in the ranking, but I think it'll be close. But we can move on to the Pacific.
Dude, the West is just the conference of offense. I mean, the offense in the West is unbelievable because, I mean, you're talking about 3 prolific offensive teams, the Avalanche, Wild, and Stars, and then you go to the Pacific top 3. The Vegas Golden Knights and the Edmonton Oilers headlining that division are absolutely rapid-fire offensive teams. The Seattle Kraken are honestly wow, I can't believe the Kraken are in this spot 56 games into the season in the 3rd-place spot. In terms of our top 3 for the Pacific, Vegas, I think, will tail off. Edmonton's going to win the Pacific. I think that's just kind of evident. Not, y'all know I'm an Oilers fan if you listen to the podcast, but we've lost 3 in a row and we're still sitting in second. We got to get our goaltending figured out. Tristan Jarry has honestly been playing worse than Connor Ingram, who had spent the majority of the year in the AHL. There's things that need to be figured out. We're taking too many penalties. We are still scoring at an unbelievable rate, but we're not winning at home, and that bothers me. It's supposed to be a lockdown atmosphere in Rogers Place, but we are faltering at home, and I think we'll get right, and I think we'll overtake the Golden Knights, but I think that those are the only 2 in the Pacific that are kind of locked in are the Golden Knights and the Oilers. We got the Kraken at 3rd. I don't think that'll hold, and hell, I'll go ahead and say this. I don't think they make the playoffs at all. I'm not very impressed with this Kraken team at all. As we take a look into the wild card, I'll let Chase speak first on the Pacific. What do you take away from the Pacific top 3?
We've called it for a while. Edmonton's coming in the Pacific. We called this back a month ago when they weren't even in the wild card that the Oilers were coming in the Pacific. They're inevitably going to win this game. They'll figure out the goaltending issues, but when you have that talent going forward, attacking the net, I mean, this Oilers team is, arguably outside the Avalanche, I'd say they're the next best offensive team in the league. I don't think that's crazy to say. Now, when you look at the goals conceded, though, you've given up 194 goals. That's absolutely ridiculous. Teams who give up 194 goals are usually at the bottom of the league, So you got to sort out that goaltending. But when you put up 198, that's a lot of goals scored. So if I'm an Oilers fan, definitely would like to see coming back from the Olympic break,
Want to see a
better
move.
defense.
I mean, I think we
Yeah.
have to make another move. I think we have to.
Have to. I mean, you have to. This is too talented a roster, and this is a team that can win the Stanley Cup. So you've got to make a move here. But in terms of Vegas, Vegas is right about where you'd expect them to be. The Kraken, I don't foresee them holding on to that third place spot. I think, you got a team like the Ducks that can push there, the Preds. I mean,
Yeah,
I
so
don't know.
moving to the wild card, great segue
It's
to
so
that.
tight.
I mean, the Mammoth and the Ducks, yes, they are at the top right now. Again, it's tough for teams like the Mammoth, the Predators, the Blackhawks, the Jets. You're not cracking that top 3 in the Central. You're playing for a wild card spot right now, which has its advantages and disadvantages. You know what you have to do now, essentially. You know you're not going to get a top 3 spot in your division, but it also just adds to where every game really matters at this point of the season. We got the Mammoth at 64 points, Ducks at 63, leading the wild card, and then the Kings at 60, Preds at 59, Sharks at 58, and then I think that kind of ends our competitiveness. I mean, you can say the Blackhawks could give a run, but they're way too young, and then the Jets, Flames, Blues, and Canucks have all looked atrocious. Barring FU the Flames winning the season series last night against the Oilers. I do see movement here. I think we will ultimately see the Ducks take that third place spot in the Pacific. And I'm going to go ahead and go on a limb here. Added Panarin right before the Olympic break. I think it's the Kings being the first wild card in the West. And it's going to be an awesome Central Division battle between the Utah Mammoth and the Nashville Predators for that last wild card spot. Chase, what do you think about the West wild card?
I completely agree. Actually, I do think the Ducks, they've been playing some really good hockey as of late. I do think they get that third spot in the Pacific. And then, I think you're looking at the team. It's really a 3-team race between the Mammoth, Kings, and Preds. I don't want to discount the Kraken, but I don't know coming back from the Olympic break if they're going to be as successful as they've been as of late. So I think, the Kings will get back into that mix. And the Preds have been playing some real good hockey. So I think the Preds will challenge, the Kings will challenge, and then the Mammoth are still a good hockey team. They've been playing better. Their goal differential is actually pretty damn good, but they're obviously not going to touch the top 3 spots in the Central. So I think the Mammoth they're going to have to win some games here, but it's going to be a really interesting wild card race. But ultimately, my 2 picks, I think it'll be probably the Kings and Predators, but we'll have to see.
We'll have to see. It'll get interesting after the Olympic break. Waste management time, guys. This is the most, I saw my brothers, the producer, sent this text. This is the most underrated weekend in sports with the waste management falling on Super Bowl weekend. You got the Olympics. I'm taking Victor Hovland. He's 2 under through today. I think he's like 27th or something like that. I made that pick beforehand. He's coming back to the BGA Tour now after playing in the DP World. He really never stopped playing, which really makes me like him in this tournament. There's really good competition in the DP World. Honestly, objectively harder courses. So I think Victor Hovland's going to get it done at the waste management. Love Hovs. I think he is a damn good golfer, and he'll get a win. Luke, Sammy boy.
Yeah, I went with Mr. Burns. He's currently 1 over. He's on my little fantasy golf team that I got, but he played well in his only tournament this year. He took off at the Farmers last week?
Yeah,
Right? Yeah, so he didn't play last week. But, I was assuming he'd come out here and still play decent.
The mini major, baby.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Well, Chase, yeah, you took the pick everyone thought we were going to pick.
Yeah.
Well, Scotty Scheffler is one of my favorite athletes across any sport. Obviously, being a Texas alum, I love me some Scotty Scheffler. Thought this was probably going to be his first one of the season. Not looking like it, considering he is 2 over right now. But it's still early. They got 3 more rounds to go, so we'll see. But made this pick this morning. Honestly, would have changed it now that I've kind of seen how it's played out. He didn't play his best round.
Never count out Scotty, though.
Yeah, never count out Scotty. Never count out Scotty. He's the most talented golfer on the planet. So, we'll have to see how it goes down the stretch. But Scotty Scheffler it's never a bad pick.
He is inevitable. Match week 25 for the English Premier League. We are kicking it off on a rare Friday night football match between Nottingham Forest hosting Leeds. Leeds hosting Nottingham Forest. God, I hate soccer being backwards.
That is so
Dude,
stupid.
so
I
dumb.
hate that.
It
does that.
It's so dumb. Me and Chase are in agreement here, which is rare. Luke took leads. Me and Chase are in agreement here. I absolutely think this match has draw written all over it, and you agree.
I agree. Leeds have drawn 6 out of their last 10 Premier League games. They have a knack for going ahead and giving up a goal later on, especially against a side of equal competence. John Dyche has done a solid job at Forest, but New Forest is both of these teams, Leeds and Forest, are sitting there 16th and 17th respectively, toying with that relegation zone. So yeah, they're both going to be trying to get the full 3 points here, especially Forest. But I think that the home field advantage is going to be enough for Leeds to sneak out a draw, and I do think Force will get an equalizer late. But I wanted to pick Leeds to win this at home because Ellen Road is one of the best environments in English football. But I just don't know if Leeds necessarily has enough going forward to truly beat Nottingham Forest.
Tottenham Hotspur on the road against Man United in Old Trafford. Hard pick. Give me the Spurs. No reason. Chase, why does Man United kill us?
Well, Spurs got the shocking result against City last weekend, which was good for them. I mean, but Manchester City dominated that game. Tottenham got a little bit of luck, and they've dominated in Manchester for whatever reason. They've dominated Manchester United and City, but it's a new day under Michael Carrick with Manchester United. I don't know what it is. I don't know if you guys have seen this guy. I think
I want him to keep the hair. I want him
Yeah,
to
the
keep
hair.
the hair.
I want him to cut it. He's had it for over a year now. The only reason I'm picking Man United is he is 2 games away from cutting that hair. We struggled obviously with Tottenham, but Tottenham did draw with us earlier in the year. I think Manchester United can get it done. They're going to have to play well. Spurs are injured, but I think Manchester United played 1 game a week. That is really going to help them out, considering all these other teams are playing a lot of other fixtures, and Tottenham has Champions League football coming up. So I'm going with Manchester United in this one, but I do think this is going to be a very exciting game.
We're on Arsenal against Sunderland. Chase is on a draw between Aston Villa and Bournemouth. I'm on Bournemouth. We're all West Ham against Burnley. Fulham, we're both in agreement here, and I thought this was one we could be split on. It's a tough matchup for Fulham at home against Everton. Why does Fulham get it done?
Fulham's actually a really talented team. You saw what they did against United last week, and they can score goals. They can defend. This is a fun Fulham team to watch. They're going to cause a lot of problems for Everton. Everton hasn't looked great as of late. They almost lost the Leeds last week, and so I am not overwhelmed by this Everton team. I think this Fulham team will get it done and continue their good run of form as of late.
Luke is on Everton. We are kind of split. You have Chelsea, and as well as Luke does, taking down Wolves on the road. I have a draw. I just think this is one of those sneaky spots at home where Wolves kind of just pulls a draw out of their ass. Why does Chelsea get the outright win?
Well, I like the pick, to be honest, because that would help out United a lot. I just think Wolves are pretty poor. Chelsea has, since they've gotten Liam Rosner as a manager, they've lost to everybody they should lose to. They've beaten everybody they should beat. I think, obviously, Chelsea will ultimately fall out of that top 4. I think Manchester United and Liverpool will have a little bit too much for them down the stretch. But, I think they get it done against Wolves. Chelsea, to be fair, have not played great, so I could see a draw here, but I think they get it done this weekend.
Newcastle United hosts Brentford. We're split on this one. Luke has a draw. I just think Castle's form has just been so poor over the past few weeks. They're just so due for a turnaround. Why not do it at home against a solid Brentford side? Why do Brentford get this one done?
For exactly what you said, Brentford has been on a great form as of late. Newcastle has been on poor form. Igor Thiago has been phenomenal for Brentford this season. And Newcastle is just, again, the fixture buildup with them being in the Champions League. They're having to play a bunch of games. They went deep into the Carabao Cup, got absolutely thrashed by Man City on Wednesday, got thrashed by Liverpool last weekend. I think Brentford gets it done again. They're just in a really poor run of form right now. I could see a draw out of this one, so I don't mind Luke's pick, but I think Newcastle's going to need something special to turn around this previous pretty poor run of form.
Well, me and you are on Brighton. Luke's on a draw against Crystal Palace. It's a poor Crystal Palace side. Let's talk about this last one. This is honestly one I would kind of a little wishy-washy on. Luke has a draw, which I actually love the pick, but Liverpool hosts Man City. Arsenal fans are begging Liverpool to get some sort of result out of this. I don't think it happens. I think this is a Man City side that has looked really great through their last five. You know, they dropped Bodo Glimt, but they've been an unbelievable run. They've looked great in the Premier League. They're up competing for that Premier League championship with Arsenal. And I just think Liverpool is kind of due to get, beat by a better side. I mean, they took care of Newcastle's in poor form, beat Karabag, lost to Bournemouth, though, in the Premier League. And, this schedule kind of stacks up. Like you've been saying, both these teams are in the Champions League. I'm just taking the better side here. I think Man City's just the better team overall, front to back, than Liverpool. So give me Man City. Why do you like Man City?
Well, I like the depth of options that Man City has up front. Obviously, when you have a guy like Erling Haaland who can score at will, he hasn't been great over the last couple of weeks. And their backup striker, Omar Marmoush, who they got in the transfer window in January of last year, has been phenomenal in replacement for him. Scored a brace against Newcastle on Wednesday. I think Manchester City, they are still a really talented side. They're pushing for this title. And Liverpool, yes, they finally got a win this last weekend against Newcastle in the Premier League, but they have only one win in the Premier League since the start of 2026. So I'm, Liverpool fans think that their tide is turned, but they beat a Newcastle team that has honestly been pretty shocking as of late, and they beat Karabag, who is atrocious in the Champions League. So I'm not as excited as they are, to say the least, about their chances going forward. I think Man City will humble them this weekend, and it's gonna be a significant one. I'm thinking like 3-1, 3-0.
I was thinking like 3-0. I think this is
I'm thinking
shut the
3-0.
door.
Liverpool's defense has been porous this year, especially against the creativity of Man City. Man City will dominate the ball. Liverpool is going to get slaughtered. Their outside backs have not been good enough. Frank Pong and what's his face? Milos Kerkez. Neither one of them have been phenomenal. Virgil van Dijk has had a poor season as well. So I think that this Liverpool front line is going to cause a lot of issues for this. This Man City front line is going to cause a lot of issues for Liverpool. So I think Man City get it done.
The Olympics. It's an awesome time of year when the Olympics come around. Preview and medal picks, and then I'm just going to give each of us give our top three events at the Olympics for the Winter Olympics. What do you like to watch? Something you like to watch. The U.S. guys. We're all with America in first. We're American. That'd be un-American for it not to be. We're second favorites to be the total medal leaders. Norway's actually first. That's why I'm riding with them at 2. But, damn it, American blood's going to get them over the line, and we're going to be first in the medal count. 3, you got to go with Canada. I date a Canadian girl. They're going to get, a nice participation trophy in hockey. That's all I care about, is that they lose in hockey. They can win everything else, as long as it's not to an American. But I do think they come in 3rd. I think they're solid. Luke, I like your angle with this, so go ahead.
No, obviously, I'm not going to pick against America for one. And then, obviously, like you said, the betting favorite is Norway. And I'm going to go with the home country.
Yeah, I don't hate this.
I think they're have the 4th, maybe the 5th highest odds. They odds-wise are definitely up there, because I don't keep up nearly enough with the winter as I did the summer.
I'm a Winter Olympic junkie. Yeah, the summer.
I like to watch it. I don't keep up with. I'm not up with it though, if that makes sense. But I think Italy's going to get 3rd most.
Chase. Also, they have baller hockey uniforms. Didn't even know they had a team. That's fire. Chase. Deutschland.
Honestly, we're going America. USA. There's no question. We're Americans, so obviously we're going to have that pick. But Norway, I do think, could press the Americans for the first spot. Obviously, the odds-on betting favorites to have highest no count. Then Germany. This was kind of a surprising pick for me. I was going to put Canada, but I do think just that European advantage is going to go to Germany. They are the most talented Winter Olympic European nation with the most talented athletes in the Winter Olympics. So I think Germany will end up finishing 3rd, but it would be kind of cool to see a country like Italy finish 3rd as well in their home country. So we'll have to see.
All right. Other than hockey, obviously, because hockey's
hockey's by far
awesome sport.
Everybody.
It's the best one. So other than hockey, top 3 Winter Olympic events for me. I love the bobsled. It's one of my favorite events to watch. I'll even watch the prelims, everything. Shout out the Jamaican bobsled team for qualifying this year. Give me some cool runnings, brothers. Two, curling. I think curling is really entertaining. One, because it's like scored, like a game. And two, it's something I personally think I could go do. So I'm a big fan of curling. And then my third is the biathlon, which is cross country skiing with the shooting added on to time. I think it's a really just weird, random Olympic event. Like, who thought, hey, let's, ski for a mile and then shoot targets? I don't know, but I'm rocking with it. So I like the biathlon. Luke, what are your top 3 Winter Olympic events?
I'm gonna go with the flying skiing.
I love that. So the high jump,
they made the movie about that, I think 5 years ago or something. It was pretty good, but apparently a bunch of them were getting busted for drugs. I don't know if that was.
There was a crotch thing.
Yeah, where they stuck it.
Yeah,
where they stuck a needle somewhere down there, and apparently it's some enhancers. I don't know, but then I'm gonna go with the half pipe on the snowboarding.
I love some snowboarding.
I mean, snowboarding is just electric to watch in general. I love watching men and women. They're both very talented. It's both very fun. And then for my final one, I'm gonna go with the skeletons since you went bobsled. The skeletons,
yeah. Skeleton and luge are very underrated,
dude, and it's very nerve wracking too because I feel like you're going so fast
live on television.
Yeah,
die.
It's so I'm gonna go with the skeleton for number 3.
Top 3 Winter Olympic events, brother.
Well, I'm going to start off with curling. Curling's just electric, especially with the last Olympics, the U.S. curling team winning it. So I would like to see us go back to back, but it's one of those sports that you don't know you love until you actually watch it. And then number 2, I love the giant slalom skiing. It's so fun to watch, just how fast they go with the amount of turns that they have, and seeing people I even like the win in this one too, like Lindsey Vonn, Michaela Schifrin. Just fun to watch. And then third, I'm actually gonna go with figure skating. Figure skating
underrated.
It's very underrated. I could go with speed skating as well.
Speed skating,
Speed
skating is electric. Speed skating is electric.
It's electric, but figure skating, it's a beautiful art, and it is kind of underrated. Me and my mom always enjoy watching that together. So I do like the figure skating competition, but I had to give some love to speed skating too. Speed skating is so much fun to watch. And then you stole my pick with bobsledding. There's no bobsledding outside of hockey. Bobsledding has to be the second best sport. It's just so much fun to watch.
My girlfriend's mother was a Canadian Olympic figure skating coach.
Also, I think figure skating would be awesome if they did it Blades of Glory style. I don't know if y'all have seen that movie.
I love that movie.
But
of course, yes.
I mean, I think that's what they should do.
The clash at Bowman Gray last night was something, to say the least. So we got 100 laps in. There starts to be literal freezing rain accumulating on the cars. So they're like, well, that's an issue. We got to pull them in and put wet weather tires on. This is a 200-lap race at a quarter of a mile track. It's the shortest track NASCAR races on. It's supposed to take an hour. This thing lasted 4 hours due to all the start and stuff. And after they went back racing, after the rain tires got on, these dudes wrecked every 10 laps, and it was awesome. They were getting pissed off at each other. People were blatantly wrecking each other. Certain cars that I don't like wrecked my driver. I was rooting for Carson Hocevar, and you know who you are. Wrecked him towards the front. Recap: Ryan Preece won it. He wrecked Hocevar to get up top, but he was really good up top, so he kept winning. William Byron climbed all the way back, came in second, so did Ryan Blaney. Daniel Suarez with his new team literally got cut from Trackhouse Racing, which is a better racing team with Ross Chastain, Shane Van Gisbergen, and Carlos Illich. They forced Daniel Suarez out. Aspire Motorsports said, yeah, absolutely, we will have you. He's now teammates with Carson Hocevar. He ran fourth, and he came from there were 23 cars in this field. He came from 19th, was all the way in last at one point, and went all the way to fourth. Great race for Daniel Suarez. Denny Hamlin, Chase's pick, came in fifth. He was wrecking dudes left and right. I mean, he was a demolition derby out there. Chase Briscoe ran well until the end, finished in sixth. Austin Dillon had a damn good race. I had him as my pick, finished in seventh. Chris Buescher in eighth, Ross Chastain in ninth, and Alex Bowman at 10th. And I just want to mention Kyle Larson was leading the first half of the race, got put in the back. It was just horrible. He wrecked like 4 times. It was just a bad night for Kyle Larson. But glad to have NASCAR back.
And NASCAR on a Wednesday was the only reason I did not watch this, because I had homework, I had to sleep. Like, I need this to be on Sundays where I can actually tune in.
Well, next week we have the duels at Daytona, which is my favorite thing about Daytona. You race for your qualifying spot. And that matters a lot in Daytona with the drafting, etc. So the duels are on Thursday. The race is on Sunday. Very excited for the day to find a 500 coming up. Premier League darts, first night. This is a 17-week event. This is like their season. The top 8 darters in the world, not exactly by ranking, but they're selected by committee, are in the Premier League. Johnny Clayton, first upset of the night, by the way. He was a plus 260 underdog. Absolutely walked Josh Rock. John Van Veen beat Luke Littler, which was absolutely shocking as well. Luke Humphreys beat Gerwin Price. Gerwin Price had 2 darts at the win that he missed. Very disappointing for Gerwin. Love his little roars after his darts throws. But Luke Humphreys got it done. And then Michael Van Gerwen beat the People's Champion Stephen Bunting in the first round. Van Gerwen then beat Luke Humphreys, who's the number 2 in the world, and John Van Veen beat Johnny Clayton for the Dutch number 1, John Van Veen, to lose to the Dutch number 2, Michael Van Gerwen, in night 1 of the Premier League. Van Gerwen did not win a single night last year in the Premier League, which is 17 weeks long. Let me add you that. He did not win a single night last year, and this was John Van Veen's first ever season in the Premier League for darts, so good showing for him. Just a little recap for our Premier League darts. And then hot and not. Hot NASCAR's back, and a lot of these uppity, race fans are like, oh, it's a horrible race. They were wrecking every other lap. No, that's what my ass loves about NASCAR. They were wrecking every other lap. They were turning. I was drinking Coors Light, and they were turning left, and they were turning left again, and then they were wrecking, and they were turning left, going fast, turning left. Love that shit, brother. NASCAR. Am I not? James Harden is worse than Kevin Durant at this shit. He is championship chasing with all the wrong teams. I mean, he is literally trying to championship chase with the Clippers. They're not going to win a championship. The Cavaliers, they're not going to win a championship. He is the most toxic person in any sort of locker room. James Harden needs to retire. Don't care how good he is or good he still is. I am a James Harden hater. I've hated him since he was on the Thunder. Just big middle finger to James Harden. You are my not. Luke, what's your hot not?
This is probably the first time we've ever had a double.
Yeah, this is double hot not.
Double hot not. So I'm starting with the hot. Marvel. I'm a big Marvel fan. I'm not like the upper echelon of nerd, but I do kind of nerd out on it a little bit.
No, he's a little bit of a nerd.
So they released Wonder Boy, which is one of the highest rated Marvel shows. I've not had a chance to watch it, but I'm really excited to watch it. And then they released a new season of the Daredevil show that's got the Punisher in it, and I love the Punisher. I recommend, even if you're not a Marvel fan, go watch the Punisher. It is amazing. And then Doomsday comes out in December, and they were supposed to have a trailer for that during the Super Bowl. They cut it for some reason. I don't know why. I was so excited. It's like the only thing I was looking forward to this Super Bowl. Then there's supposed to be a Spider-Man trailer in this. They cut it. And the Spider-Man movie comes out I think it's like April or May. And they cut all
I think
of
it's
that.
early. I think it's July. They moved it back to July.
And I wanted to see it because the Punisher's in that movie. The Hulk's in that movie. You got Spider-Man with Tom Holland. And they cut it. And I was like, God, man. That's my not. So
I'm excited to see what your hot not is. Talk to me about my favorite Houston airport, not George Bush, but Houston Hobby.
Well, I mean, I absolutely hate George Bush Intercontinental. That is the worst airport, especially when you're trying to make it in traffic. It takes at least an hour getting through Houston to get over there, and it's only 30 miles away from my house. So that's ridiculous. I hate George Bush. But anyways, I'm going to talk some good stuff about Houston Hobby. So obviously, as you know, I had to fly out to Atlanta yesterday to go watch Georgia State versus Troy. I got to the airport with about 45-ish, 40 minutes left before my flight was supposed
You were
to take off.
testing this
Completely
shit.
on my fault.
Yeah.
It was completely my fault. I thought my flight was leaving a little bit later than it did. Complete screw up. So get to the airport and I'm about to board. And I dropped my bag off at the bag carousel, where they take it, they put it in the plane. The lady's like, oh, there's a good chance, that the bag's not going to get on the flight since you checked it. There's a good chance you're going to have to wait at the airport till it comes on a later flight. And I'm like, oh man, that would be absolutely terrible. So as I'm
Because he
boarding
showed
the
up before
plane,
this
I
can't
see
play.
this one cart.
Yeah.
It's literally there's one bag in the cart, on the baggage carts. And it's my bag, and they loaded onto the plane right as I was getting on. It was just electric. What a performance from the bag guys
You
at
were
the
so
Houston
turned.
Hobby
I know you were
Airport.
turned.
Oh, I was turned up. I was celebrating on that plane. I was like, let's freaking go. So want to give a major shout out to them. And then my guys, the Mavericks front office. I mean, my goodness, you trade Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis and one first round pick.
And then you trade
Then
Anthony Davis.
you have Anthony Davis for 30 something games. You ship him off to the Wizards for Chris Middleton and a bunch of role players. Don't really get much back from him. You gave up Luka, so you essentially gave up Luka Doncic for Chris Middleton and a first round pick in a couple seconds. That's just complete mismanagement for one of the
Rico.
best
He's already been
basketball
fired.
players.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's just
This
ridiculous.
is damage control.
It's damage control, but it's not even good damage control. Like it is just absolutely atrocious. This trade is aging like sour milk, and what makes it even worse is they got blessed with a generational talent in Cooper Flag that they did not deserve, considering all that. So they're all obviously all in on Cooper Flag, and they're going to build around him, but definitely should never have gotten rid of Luca. But I do want to touch on your hot nod, Luke. I'm super hyped for Avengers Doomsday 2. Cannot wait for that trailer. And, I am a little bummed that they did postpone it. But that being said, if they can get it right and do everything right for this movie, that's what I'm more concerned with. I don't care if they keep moving it back. I just want
Yeah.
it to be perfect. So
All the teasers they've shown too have been absolutely elite because I'm a big
elite.
X-Men guy.
I mean, if you're a comic book fan, if you're a
Yes.
Marvel movie fan, they have been dropping some heat. So
Yeah, I'm gonna go read the comics for this and Secret Wars too because apparently they're their best books or comics. So
yep.
I mean, I'm pumped.
Yep.
This is some. I'm a Star Wars nerd. I can recite Episode 3 word for
So
word
I
almost.
love Marvel and Star Wars.
But I am not a Marvel dude.
Oh,
I've watched the movies in theater and they're good every time. I'm like, oh, that's good. Yeah. But, Oh, well, tune in. This does it for episode 41. Tune in on Monday when we talk some really good stuff. Recap of the Super Bowl. Winter Olympic hockey picks and preview. Daytona 500 picks and preview. We're back, baby. And some other shit like darts, the NBA. An unfortunate pause in our NHL talks, which breaks my heart. But we will be back and better than ever for episode 42. Until then, good night.